Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're opening up a pocket toolkit of well-being practices for Project WIND. We're talking directly to you, the educators, the facilitators, the changemakers who are out there doing incredibly meaningful work. But let's be honest, sometimes that work feels incredibly heavy.
So have you ever had one small thing, like a tense email, a grant deadline, maybe a tricky classroom moment, suddenly feel absolutely enormous, like your mind just takes this tiny little mosquito of a problem and turns it into a terrifying monster? Look, that's just your inner critic getting loud. And honestly, it's a completely universal experience when you care as deeply about your work as you do.
When the work gets heavy, a pocket toolkit for overwhelmed changemakers.
Now, right off the bat, I want to say these practices aren't about toxic positivity, and they're definitely not about just pushing harder. They are simply about giving ourselves a little bit of grace. We're not talking about big, complicated life overhauls here. We're talking about small things. 5 seconds, one word, one breath, one kinder thought. These are rapid-fire tools to help you stay grounded, compassionate, and connected right there in the messy moments.
The power of a pause, interrupting the inner critic with grace.
You see, before we can reframe our thoughts, we literally have to physically interrupt our stress response. Enter the compassionate pause. This is a 5-second practice, tops. First, just place your hand on your heart, or really anywhere that feels supportive to you. Second, say your own name out loud. And third, offer yourself a kind sentence. Clinical research actually shows this physically releases oxytocin and dopamine. It biologically mimics a warm hug.
So what does that kind sentence actually sound like? Well, try this. This is hard, you've got this. Imagine doing this right before you have to hit reply on a really tense email. You just pause, say your name, Sarah, this is hard, but you've got this. It sounds almost too simple, right? But in studies with emergency room doctors, this exact 5-second pause resulted in calmer physicians and ultimately better patient outcomes.
Staying with that theme of pausing, let's look at the STOP acronym. Think of this as your perfect mental circuit breaker. When you're absolutely buried in project deadlines and you feel that familiar anxiety creeping up, use this. S stands for stop. T is take a break. Literally close the laptop, step away for a second. O is observe. Ask yourself what's really making you feel out of alignment right now. And finally, P is proceed accordingly. It is just a fantastic, fast way to regulate your nervous system when you feel yourself starting to spiral.
Reframing the hard stuff. Rewiring our neural pathways.
Okay, so in our brains, repeated thoughts create deep ruts. If you constantly think to yourself, I can't do this, well, that becomes your fixed mindset. It's a brick wall. But watch what happens when we add just one tiny word. I can't do this yet. Boom. Suddenly, you've transformed a wall of absolute impossibility into an open door of growth and learning. The next time you're facing a massive grant application or a complex challenge that just feels like too much, just add yet.
Next time you're facing real dread, I want you to ask yourself a pretty brilliant question. Is the thing you are dreading actually a monster, or is it just a mosquito? Because sometimes we let our minds turn a totally normal task into a terrifying beast.
We so often project this paralyzing shadow of dread, the monster, onto things like overdue messages or complex reports. But the reality? It's usually just a mosquito. I mean, is a mosquito annoying? Yes, definitely. A little painful? Sure. But is it completely manageable? Absolutely. Swat the mosquito and just find your next small step forward.
Navigating relational energy. Protecting your emotional boundaries.
As changemakers, our well-being is deeply, deeply tied to the people around us, which brings us to crab bucket awareness. So legend has it that if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, you don't even need to put a lid on it. Why? Because if one tries to climb out, the miserable crabs at the bottom will just reach up and pull it right back down. We need to be aware of our relational energy. Are you being pulled down by someone else's discouragement? Or, and this is the tough one, are you the stressed out crab accidentally pulling your own team down?
The absolute best antidote to the crab bucket is to find your expanders. You need to actively look for those people who make you breathe freely and who expand your sense of what is possible. Ask yourself, who in your network gives you energy rather than draining it? Connecting with peers who inspire hope isn't just nice to have. It's absolutely essential for staying afloat when the work gets really hard.
Shifting your inner state. Moving from panic to presence.
How exactly do we move from panic back into presence when the whole world just feels chaotic? Try the elevator ride. When you find yourself trapped in overthinking, when that inner critic is just chattering away nonstop, visualize yourself stepping into an elevator. Leave your brain, let the doors close, and ride that elevator all the way down to your heart. Down there, the truth is always a lot clearer. You are doing work that matters, and you are enough.
And when you need to shift your state regarding the wider world, try this one: celebrating other people's good news. Imagine waking up with that heavy morning dread, and instead reminding yourself someone on the exact opposite side of the world just had the best news ever. Maybe someone just got cured of an illness. Maybe they finally got funding for their dream project. There is profound, life-changing joy happening right now, somewhere out there.
You know, we're so used to minimizing our own pain by saying things like, well, someone probably has it worse than me. But let's be real, that doesn't make us heal better, it just adds a layer of guilt. Instead, try shifting your perspective to, someone is having a great day today, and I will too. Celebrating those invisible joys happening around the globe is just a beautiful, hopeful way to combat living in a messy world. Reconnecting to your mission. You are on the front lines of love.
Look, despite the heavy days, the work you do is vital, and this is your empathetic toolkit to help you sustain it. We've got 8 highly accessible micro-practices here: the compassionate pause, the power of yet, monsters versus mosquitoes, crab bucket awareness, the STOP acronym, the elevator ride, finding your expanders, and celebrating good news. You now have real, tangible ways to step yourself back from the edge of overwhelm.
Ultimately, the core message of everything we've talked about in this explainer today is incredibly simple. Being human is hard, and we're all in it together. These practices, they aren't designed to make you some hyper-productive, emotionless robot who never ever gets stressed. They are designed to help you stay compassionate, stay human, and stay connected precisely when the work matters most.
So, as we close things out, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Which of these small practices will you use to return to your center today? You do not have to do all of them. Just pick one. Give yourself some grace, take a deep breath, and remember, you've absolutely got this.